This episode of After the Whistle contains profanity. Listener discretion advised. Please enjoy.
You know what, JR? I told Riv, I said, as soon as we bring him onto the Zoom, we should just start recording right away. He's like, no, you got to do your open. You got to do your build up, what we're talking about today and all that. And I'm just kind of like, you get on here and out of the blue, you're talking about, life.
You gotta go right away.
Yes, so that it's organic. Like Riv is,
the sun comes up on this side.
the ocean's over there. So maybe before the end of this podcast, we'll do you'll be able to see the ocean. We're talking about we're inside JR's house.
Hey, if I say something really stupid, you can edit it. So that's okay.
That's the best part about podcasts. But you know what? Yeah,
we like to keep the stupid stuff in there, JR.
We like to keep,
it's the reason why we left.
By the way, I don't give a shit. Keep it in. That's good.
There you go. You and me both.
Okay.
So it's early where you are. I didn't realize you were doing this so early for us. Pardon?
I get up at 5:30 or 5 or 6 every single day, so it doesn't matter.
Why? Like why? What time do you go to bed at night?
10, 9, 10.
Wow. So you are an early riser to begin with, because like 5:30.
Listen. When you love life, you want to take advantage of every second of the day you can.
But okay, so serious question. Sounds to me like you have a lot of structure in your life. I guess routine. Like, do you have a good routine in the day? Like, it sounds like you get up I'm willing to bet you take a shit at the same time every day.
Yes, right after I finish this and before I go on to spin class. Before I go into spin class.
So you know what, Riv?
If all the women knew, why I went in right before spin class, they might be a smaller class, because my coffee, then spin, ready to go.
So do you have a Peloton? Do you ever ride at home?
No, I hate working out at home, because my home is where I relax. And my home is it's my peaceful place. I don't want to sit here and sweat and hate to work out and hate part of my house. So I always go out. So I go to a class, and I have a big bunch of people that give me good energy and great music, and I ride, I spin every day, and then I do push-ups and sit-ups.
Do you eat well? Are you a healthy eater?
I do.
Okay.
No, I don't do.
How much did you weigh when you finished playing in the NHL?
209.
And you weigh
220 now. 220.
Oh, that's not bad.
It's not bad.
Yeah,
not bad at all.
And I can get down to 215, 210 if I really, really want to in a couple weeks, but not ready yet.
Well, listen. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing about us. We know our bodies, and I believe if we want to flick the switch on, I believe that we know how to do whatever it is we want to do, get in shape, lose weight, build muscle, whatever. We've done it all our lives.
Do you know what changed? You know what changed my whole attitude about it? And we've all seen our friends blow up and get really big. But I was watching a hockey game on television one day, and the Tenorti kid who plays in the Bruins, remember, who played against his dad, Mark?
Yeah,
big defenseman. Well, they panned to him sitting in the stands watching his son's first game, and I was like, "What the fuck? That's not Mark Tenorti." And he looked like Jabba the Hutt. I swear to God, no, I'm sorry, Mark, but I looked at him and said, "That's not the same defenseman that fucking punched me in the head and chased me around as a Dallas."
And he was long and lean. He was a big man, very tough, and he was long and lean too, right?
Yeah, but he went from long and lean to wide and big.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's easy to do. I got up to 272 at one point, and I'm down to 215, but I was as low as 210.
You, Petey.
Yeah, I was down to
skinny right now.
Yeah, I was down to 210, but I hurt my knee, so I took the last 6 weeks off, and the Halloween candy, it gets to you. But anyway, it's interesting. I've said that too. In fact, quick little story for you here before we get into the serious talk. When I was playing in New Jersey, this is one of the most fun conversations I've ever had in hockey. Was we were on the bus on the way to Philadelphia because we bussed to Philly. It was an hour and 15 minutes or 2 hours or whatever it was. I can't remember, but anyway, so we were on the back of the bus, and I was big guy, okay, and we had a conversation. It was I can remember who was there. It was Colin White was a huge part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Jamie Langenbrunner was a
guy.
huge part of the conversation. Brian Rolston, Jay Pandolfo was in it, but he's always been in unbelievable shape, so he was never a concern. And Marty Brodeur, okay. And the conversation was, who's going to be the first guy after retirement to hit 300 pounds? And I mean, I think it was like, we were, I think, I mean, I was in there. They were like Petey or Colin White's like, oh, but I'm going to be 300. No problem. You know, Langenbrunner was like, I might get up there. Marty, you know, cause Marty isn't like a real skinny guy. Like
Marty's a little loosey-goosey.
Like he's not a skinny guy like your traditional skinny goalie. Like he's 6'2", 220, and like big shoulders.
Dude,
you know,
he was loosey goosey when he played. I can imagine what happens if he doesn't take care of himself afterwards.
Well, I was one of those guys
Another great
too.
Guy.
Yeah.
Another
yeah. But anyway, it was just funny how I think all hockey players may say, screw it, I'm just going to put the weight on, because the pain to stay in shape while you're playing,
it's hard.
It's so hard. That's all working out. That's all we know working out to be, is just that painful, right? So,
you know, the thing is though, like I eat whatever I want. I drink whatever I want. I do whatever I want. I haven't worked out in probably 10 years. And I would, like, when you look at me, Petey, and you see me, I don't look like I'm overweight. I just think I'm tall and lean. Like when I was younger, I was drafted to the Montreal Canadiens. I was 172 pounds, 6'2" when I got drafted to the Montreal Canadiens at 18. You know,
Zoom takes off 20 pounds, JR.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean shit, Rev, because I was 155 pounds at 18 years old at 5'11", and it caught me, man. It caught me at one time.
Yeah,
I was 250 at one time too, and like, this is stupid. Just got down, and I don't want to live this way. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
Some people have the gift of gain. They have the gift of gain, and unfortunately, when we have nobody telling us what to do, like those trainers that were telling us to be on the bike for 25 minutes after the game, get in the gym, we were doing it, and we were focused because people were making us do it. And all of a sudden we get retired and nobody's telling us we have to do it, and we can eat everything, we can still drink our beers and everything. Then there it is. And then it sucks.
That was the part of the game I hated the most, and it was part of the game that I wish I could go back to, was just the off ice, staying in shape, being paid to stay in shape and hang out with your buddies. I mean,
I will say this. I do have somebody that's on my ass. My wife stays on my ass, Tracy. She always says, if the gut gets ahead of the boobs, you're done. Get back. No more food. No more booze.
Alrighty then.
Accountability.
Yep. Hey, got to be honest, man. She keeps me in line.
Well, I mean, I don't want to transition from accountability and keeping us honest with our weight to accountability and honesty when it comes to the game of hockey. But it seems like we have a bit of good
transition there.
Yeah, the wording was, but in terms of the seriousness of topics, JR, I mean, we go from a loose, kind of lighthearted, fun conversation to maybe one of the darkest weeks in NHL history, with not just the Chicago Blackhawks, but now with Pittsburgh, and some huge names there that are now under the microscope. But without jumping too far ahead, what has this week meant to you, from Kyle Beach to Gary Bettman, Donald Fear, and the Chicago Blackhawks, and the whole situation?
Well, I think what you said is exactly right. I mean, you never like to see a huge black eye like this on our sport. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm sitting here saying, really? Like, this can happen in the National Hockey League with big, strong, burly, tough guys. Hockey players are, they're tough, strong-willed people and good people.
Or at least portray that to be.
Correct, exactly, and that's what we see as players. So we see, good, outstanding people, good humanitarians, respectful, in general, especially as the players go. The management might be a little bit egocentric and narcissistic and all that stuff. That might be, and in the NHL too. But to have something like this happen, I think sends just shockwaves through everybody. Like how, number one, how could the player let this happen without beating the fuck out of somebody? Number one, because he is a hockey player. Number two, how as a player, and you found out about this, that you don't take accountability or you don't do something as a player. And I know you're in this situation, these guys are going for a Stanley Cup, right? You don't want to wrestle the waters. But in hockey, we always say life and family are bigger than the game, right? We've always said that, family before the game, life before the game, your health before the game. Well, it's really disappointing that this happened. And now we also have to understand that the three of us don't know everything that happened. There's an investigation going on. You got to let that all plan through, whether we find out everything that happened. Will we ever know everything that happened, right? With Kyle Beach and the situation, like what was his role in this? Was alcohol or drugs part of this? Was, there's so much that we don't know that I think it's frustrating for us. But the fact that it wasn't brought out to protect somebody, and I'll tell you what, I thought John Tortorella said it the best of anybody I've ever said that so far that I've heard. He's like, it's amazing that people that are supposed to be very highly regarded, respectful people made the decision to sweep this under the rug. But what if it was one of their kids, right? If it was one of your kids, would you have made that same decision? And that's such a profound question. And another reason, like, why? I think this is deeper than. I think this spreads wider than the people that have already been affected.
Held accountable
in this thing and been accountable. I think this is wider. I think it goes wider than we'll even ever know. And unfortunately, this is what I'm going to say about the end. Hopefully, like everything else, this is a teaching moment. Everything in our life, we have the one teaching moment that will define where a league goes, how a person acts, what a person decides to do. And hopefully this whole situation, this awful situation, teaches people, players, teammates, coaches, GMs, commissioners, PA representatives, PA leaders, to make the right decision, no matter what the case is, to protect somebody.
Well, to get the answers, right, JR? To get the answers, because
you can't. Yeah, but you have to say something. Okay, you can't know something is going on and not say something.
Yeah.
Now, did Patrick Kane, did Jonathan Taves, did Duncan Keith, as the leaders of that team, Seabrook, the leaders of that team, did they know what happened? And did they not say anything?
Is it their place? Like, put yourself back in that. How old were you when you guys were in the finals against Pittsburgh? That was 90.
PD, this is what I'm saying, though. What do you mean, is it your place? Is it your place to protect your friend? Is it your place to,
no.
Yeah.
No. Listen. Okay, so
hold on,
Riv. Let me clarify. Let me clarify what I meant there, because, like, what I meant was, it's not that it's not your place. It's that if it gets to the players, you have to assume management knows, right? So, it's definitely on management to deal with it and do the right thing. And
not necessarily if it happens within the locker. If it happens within the locker room to one of your teammates, and you find out about it, that no, there's a very good chance that your players will find out before management. So, because one of the players might say something, or something might happen, because the player is going to confide in the teammate more than they'll confide maybe.
But I think in this particular situation, because I think he went to Paul Vincent first, so I think, Craig, correct me if I'm wrong, I think management, did know first. So I guess my question is, is it on the young players, the young star players that are the leaders of that team? Like John Taves was 21. So I mean, that's a young age to take something on like this in the middle of like your first week.
100%.
I think everybody has roles in this. I mean, when you look at these players and you're saying, these players should have stepped up and said something and been more involved with this. I think that, a Jonathan Taves at age 21 and Patrick Kane at age 20, and we're thinking that these guys should be stepping up and taking.
And by the way, Riv, do they as leaders? I mean, but this is what I'm saying. Like, this is Monday morning quarterback here. Okay, so I'm not sitting here blaming Patrick Kane or Jonathan Taves or Don Keith. I'm not blaming them. Okay, should they have done something different? Maybe, probably, yes. But if something like this can teach the kids that are playing today, or the people that are at home, or something happens at school, okay, to see what kind of ramifications this can really turn out to be, and think in your mind, hey, this is not right. This is not good. I have to say something, because the problem is when you don't say something, that's when the biggest pain and problems erupt. If you don't say something, I mean, I just hope this is like a huge, oh my gosh, wake up moment and learning moment for a lot of people. I mean, I think really disappointed
when you have situations like this where there's been, a terrible outcome. I look at these moments and say, this is an opportunity to get better. We have to learn from this. And I as much as this is nowhere near being ended. I
thought Sheldon Kennedy did that though. Like, I thought Sheldon Kennedy was the pioneer for that. I didn't think anything like this would or could ever happen because of Sheldon Kennedy. I mean, I don't
think that him and Theo Fleury were a huge story and a huge, I think, issue. But I don't think it spanned to the levels that this is, right? You had a junior coach, and that was it, right?
Is this because it's on the highest level? It's on the highest level, and it happened
absolutely.
on the okay.
Yeah, so first round draft pick kid that was drafted 11th overall that got called up from junior hockey to the biggest and greatest league in the world that every young hockey player strives to get to. And it's a black eye, and it's one thing for this terrible situation to happen to Kyle Beach, but what's even more disturbing to me is when he reached out. And obviously that was extremely, I can't even imagine at the age of like 19 reaching out to Paul Vincent, who was the strength and conditioning coach, and told him basically what had happened, and to reach out to the NHLPA and say, I need help here because this is what happened. He got 2 goddamn calls from the NHLPA. Kyle Beach
that brings up
Donald
another
Fear
question.
Knew about it.
What's the next question, JR? Donald Fear?
See ya.
What about Gary Bettman and Bill Daly?
See, I don't know. I mean, I would have to think that they would know about it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, do the Blackhawks call him and let him know what's going on? I mean, and this is what I say: the investigation is going to go deeper. I don't know where it'll go. But I would be really, really shocked if the players didn't reach out to the PA, because that's their go-to, right? That's their protection, is the PA. That the PA is supposed to protect them. I can see Fear knowing about it more than anybody.
Well, Kyle Beach in his press conference with Rick Westhead said, well, in his interview, it wasn't press conference, his interview, very emotional interview, and he said that Donald Fear did know. And the players met the other night for
all the player reps met.
The player reps met for the other night for a couple hours and they're trying to figure out if Donald Fear knew and if he should be continuing in his role there. And I don't know what they're waiting for. I don't know what the players are waiting for. I sent out a tweet the other day.
They want to do an investigation.
Yeah, I sent out a tweet the other day, and I said, if Donald Fear is employed after today, then the players are brainwashed. Or I said, if Donald Fear lives through this vote, then the players are brainwashed. Because why would
100%.
Kyle Beach go
100%.
on an interview of that magnitude that is going to be globally seen in at least the hockey world, if not the world, okay? And lie about Donald Fear knowing? Why would he do that? He's in the middle of an investigation with or a civil suit with the Hawks. Why is he going to go and do that? He like what more evidence do you need? I mean, you just had a former player who has alleged sexual abuse, okay? And you know, and it wasn't even given its time in court. It wasn't even given its time to be proven true or false. So I guess, you know, I'm going in a lot of different directions here. But what more evidence?
You're exactly right.
What more evidence do the players need? Like, wake up. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Craig just said. Craig just said.
Knew.
Go ahead. Yes.
For 9 years, the NHL knew and did nothing to investigate nor help Kyle Beach in dealing with this trauma. They stopped talking to him after the second call.
So let me ask you this, JR. Whether you call a divisional player rep, Dr. Shaw, or whoever else is in the NHLPA that you're calling, I don't know who you're calling. I don't know who's there anymore. Okay, but whoever you call, because if you're Kyle Beach, you might not get Donald Fear, unfortunately, even with the story that you're about to tell him. You may not get Donald Fear, but whoever you get is going to go to Donald Fear. Is he not?
If he's a smart person, a smart businessman, he does for sure. Because the buck stops with him. He's the one that makes he's the dog. He's the barking dog. He's the one that makes shit happen. So it lies with the leader at the top. It always does.
So I don't know what's taking so long. I mean, so
well, is Donald Fear gonna rely on I'm gonna pass the buck to somebody else?
Of course you will. Of course you will. Plausible deniability.
Does it have anything to do with Kyle Beach not really being a part of the NHLPA, or, you know, because he came from junior? Possible,
but that's not. I don't.
Yeah, but on a human level,
it's a bad excuse because he's still with an NHL team. He's still an NHL draftee. Still, regardless of where he came from, he's still part of the family. So, you know, like I said, I think there's a lot to this entire thing that will continue to expand and what will come out. And I think on both sides, you know, you're going to hear stories of, you know, from other people about Kyle Beach at that time, and let that all come out. Let that all come out, and once it does, you know.
Elliot Friedman had a quote in his article. He was using an analogy that somebody he was quoting anonymously had said, and they said that this whole thing is like an iceberg. You know, we're seeing, you know, a little bit up top,
lots underneath.
Lots underneath. Vast majority of it is under the water. So, you know, there's going to be a lot more that comes out.
All in all, it's an awful black eye on the National Hockey League, and let's see who you know, let's see where it goes, and and in the ultimate end, let's make sure that hopefully everybody learns something from it. And, you know, I'm sure there's going to be lawsuits up the wazoo. I'm sure Kyle Beach is going to get, you know, well compensated for the years that he's been in peril in his mind. Not that that's, you know, what he wants, but it's going to happen. And we just got to learn, man. We got to be smarter in this world. We got to learn to protect each other. We got to learn to protect sometimes the people that we don't even know. And we got to be good human beings, because unfortunately in this fucking world that we're in today, there are a lot of fucking bad human beings, and people got to wake up and start being better individually.
Kyle Beach in that interview, which was very, very powerful. I'm sure you watched. I'm sure you watched all of it. You know, kind of felt sick to your stomach, to be honest with you. Listening to him, you know, you can definitely tell that he's got a lot of stuff buried inside. And this finally, for the first time, people understand and know that he is not lying. He's not a liar anymore. The report came out, the investigation, a lot of stuff came out. And I just thought it was interesting, and I liked what he had to say. He's like, I'm a survivor. I've buried this for 10, 11 years, and it's destroyed me from the inside out. And I want everybody to know, in the sports world, in the world, you're not alone.
Yeah.
He's a pretty courageous
because
man
we're not
right now.
live. Because we're not live. I just
by the way, I'm just gonna say this because I think it's very important too. When something like this happens to you, don't wait 7, 8, 9 years, no matter how embarrassing it is, no matter how hurtful it is. Say something right away. Don't wait 7, 8 years or 5 years or 3 years to come out and say something. You got to say something right away. You got to nip it in the bud right away, because again, people are like, this is back in 2010. How did this happen? So people are out there. If this happens to somebody, you have to say something right away. They can't, and no matter what the shame is, no matter what the pain is, you got to do it, right? Because it's going to come out. The pain that you're going to endure for afterwards is probably going to be worse than the pain that you're going through. I don't know.
So let me just mark the time on this, because I want to ask you guys. I want to ask you guys a serious question, and I mean, and it's not going to be received very well. Okay, so I don't even know how to really preface it. I have a lot of questions. Okay, I have a lot of questions, and the questions are uncomfortable questions. I don't know if you read at all any of the 107-page document from the investigation that was done on the Hawks, but like, so I'll just say this. I'll just get it out there. So JR, when I was a child, I was sexually abused. Okay. That's the detail. I'll get into it with you. It's become more comfortable to talk about, but it's not easy to talk about. But so I can relate a lot to what Kyle Beach is talking about in terms of the secret, the pain, the fear, the embarrassment, the kind of all of it. Now remember, I was 6, 7, 8. Okay. And I wasn't 19. I wasn't 6'3", and I wasn't 200 pounds. Right. And I also knew at 19 as a second round draft pick, and again, like, this is going to sound, these are just questions I have. I knew as a second round draft pick at 19, at 18, that Jeff Holbrook, the video coach of the Buffalo Sabres, could not get me into the NHL.
Correct.
Did not have the power to get me in the NHL. I knew that. I knew he could go into the coach's office and say, this guy's a great kid. He's a great kid, works hard, great attitude around the room. He can give you that kind of an endorsement, but he can't go up to the coach and say, get this kid in the lineup. He's ready to play.
Correct.
And like, so I sit and I say, so I wish I was 19 when that creep tried to do what he did to me, because I would have, I'm not saying this to be tough. I'm saying this because I knew my abilities. I would have beaten him within an inch of his life and then had him explain why I beat him within an inch of his life. And that would have been the end of it. But I didn't have that choice. I didn't have the capability mentally as a vulnerable kid to be able to decipher what was being told to me for the fear aspect of the secret versus the reward aspect of the secret. And now I just sit and I say, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just saying that.
How did it happen?
Listen, I think.
How does this happen? How does this fucking happen? How are you 6'3", 200 pounds, and let a pipsqueak video coach?
Okay, this is where I think this is kind of where you're going down. I think it's a very powerful.
And I'm sorry if this is offending anybody.
No.
But I'm just curious.
But how could you not think that way? Okay, at 6 or 7 or 8 years old, vulnerability. You're at your peak, right? Your strength, your decision making, you don't know what's going on. At 19 years old, you know what this stuff is. At 19 years old, you are a man. At 19 years old, you should be smart enough to understand the repercussions or at least, at least the powers of the people that are around you, like you're saying. So that leads me in what you're saying. That leads me to that other part of the beginning of this podcast where I said, we don't know all the situations and all the information. Now, I'm not going to say anything is untrue. I'm not going to say anything is being lied about, but I don't know what Jay Beach's situation was at 19.
Kyle Beach. Jay Beach.
Kyle Beach. I don't know what his mentality was. I don't know what his
sexual curiosities. I know that at 6, 7, 8, okay. I'm not supposed to be sexually curious at 6, 7, 8 years old, but I know that correct. 19 I am, whether it's one way or the other. You at a younger age, you're even starting to experience sexual feelings and emotions. I mean, it's puberty. It's part of growing up. It's part of, I want
to ask you a question. You're right. But I want to ask you a question because, again, there were two people that started this thing. So there's two different stories. And you know what they say, there's 3 stories to every story. His story, their story, and the truth. Okay. Will we ever know the exact truth? Because we weren't there. None of us were there. We have to go by what everybody says. And obviously people are going to, they're going to side with the victim more than anything. And this is why I say you got to be really careful.
Go ahead.
Hold on a second.
No, go ahead and finish what you're going to say, JR.
We don't know what was done in that room. We don't know the situation physically, whether alcohol was involved that misjudged somebody's judgment. Drugs were involved. We don't know. Now, did Kyle Beach ever make the Chicago Blackhawks?
He did not. No.
He did not make the team. Did he play in the National Hockey League for an extended period of time?
No, the answer is no. He didn't play at all.
Okay. You have a situation like this, and Kyle Beach never reached his dream. And then this comes out 7 years later. He's playing in Europe. I just think there's way too many things that we don't know, for regardless of the reason. And it's a terrible situation.
Yeah, you know what the problem is that, the problem is that we don't know, and everyone's afraid to bring it up because everyone's sensitive, and they should be, because if we're wrong about what anyone would dare question this. If we're wrong, we are absolutely horrific human beings. Well, okay, that, like, I understand that, but tough questions need to be asked in these situations. And I sit and I just wonder. I just sit and I think, and I'm like, like, I'm asking all those questions too because of my situation. Do I have the right to? Yeah, I do. I think I do, because I'm trying to understand the mindset, because
I don't think I'll ever.
I know. Maybe it's because of what I know about what happened. Maybe it's because of what I know about what happened to me and what it does to somebody's life and how it drastically alters their psyche. But at the same time,
okay. So let me
at
ask you a
19,
question.
at 19, you should, there's no amount of, unless I am completely drugged where I'm passed out, that would be the only way, because I know my sexuality and I was comfortable in my sexuality, regardless of what happened to me when I was a kid. I didn't have any questions about my true sexuality, that I know that as buckled as I have been in my drunkest days, that this never, ever would have happened. I would have had to have been passed out or drugged for this to happen, to have any kind of willingness to engage without beating, without hitting, without being violent, maybe even killing this person.
But again, that's you, Petey. You're talking about yourself. There's a lot of different people, personalities. We don't have the information on the situation. The abuse.
So am I a bad person for saying that?
No, not at all.
I completely understand what you're saying, Andrew. But
this is a frustrating thing, Riv, is that we will never know.
We'll try and find out as much information as we can. We will never get the 100% information, but
correct.
What I can say, guys, is that the abuser has been caught multiple times. Okay, multiple times, and he is a predator.
Yeah, he is a predator.
You don't think that this is the first time that he's abused people? He is a predator. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows how to speak to you. He knows, he's going to, attack a certain type of person. There's these people they're abusers, but they're also predators. They know what they're doing, and he's been caught multiple times.
Yeah, and let me just follow up what I was saying with, it still should have been reported. Like all of that being said, whether it all should have been reported. Like when Kyle Beach went, it still should have, there should have been some sort of an internal investigation or an investigation period, so that at least the truth could have come out, and then therefore Brad Ulrich would have had some kind of a marking against his name that this has happened.
He would not have had another job. But see, I think that's the learning part of this whole thing. Okay, this will learn part. Like, listen, there's always going to be predators, like Riv said. They're going to be out there all the time. The learning part of this is to not wait to nip it in the bud, to take control of it. Say something, do something, be a friend, and if the person that this happened to, you be the one to step up and protect them.
Yeah.
Okay, because that person might. So, if anything comes out of this whole thing, we have to at some point give people the courage and give people the human decency in their body to say something, do something, don't wait. That's got it.
But you know what? Ultimately, this is why this is all wrong here, JR. And this is why
correct.
The biggest story in NHL history is this young man went to Paul Vincent, someone that he trusted. He went and told him what had happened. Paul Vincent went to the executive members of the Chicago Blackhawks organization. They all sat in a room and they all said that they would take care of it.
The cover up is why Brad Aldrich was able to.
Goddamn cup.
Yeah,
this guy was up. The cup 2 weeks later.
The cover up is why Brad Aldrich was allowed to.
It's wrong
get a
when
hold
you
of the
sit
kid
there.
In Michigan.
You sit there and not only after the season, Kyle Beach went to the NHLPA. He went to the NHLPA and asked for help. They called him twice and never heard from. They never called him back again. I mean, you look at this, the problem with what's going on right now is everybody is trying to sweep things under the table instead of dealing with what's in front of them. Sweep it under the table, keep it quiet. No one knows. And that's what's wrong. And that's what's going to come out here.
100%.
And it's going to hurt a lot of people because we need to change, you know, with tough situations, in life, you
Right,
learn
Riv.
from them and you try and make it better.
That's right, Riv. And it comes down to being better human beings, man, in
Sweep.
all facets of our world. Be a better
Sweep.
human being. So
Sweeping it under the rug is the ultimate problem with society in general, and it's where things compound and they mound up and they start to take over. And whether it's sweep your emotions under the rug, like Kyle Beach did, like I did for 30 years, other victims of other crimes or heinous acts, or whether it's a team trying to sweep it under the rug to try to cover their own asses. Eventually, what do you have? You just have a rug with a huge mound in the middle of it. And eventually someone's going to be like, what's underneath that rug?
Yeah.
And it's all going to come out. And
well, I'll tell you what, the National Hockey League players, they better grow some balls. They better fucking make a statement. And they have an opportunity right now to make a statement by saying, listen, when we have big leadership and big leadership lets us down, there's accountability. And I don't give a shit what they say. Don Fear needs to be held accountable. And they have the opportunity right now because they're already down the road looking into investigation with them. And I'm telling you, right, we had this conversation last week. I think there's things that are being done in the NHLPA that are undermining the players. And now you got the major undermining the players. So to me, Don Fear needs to go, and he needs to go now.
Yeah.
what about what's happening?
I'll end with this though.
Well, hold on. Don't end yet, because unless it's about Pittsburgh, but we can wrap this conversation up about this.
No, I wanted to, I listened to Gary Bettman in his NHL news conference, sat there with Bill Daly and answered multiple questions. And it's, it's a head scratcher to all of us who many of us who listened to that press conference. And Rick Westhead, who basically was the sole reporter who, did all the down deep investigating to bring this story to light, took him, damn near 45 minutes, an hour to ask a question, his first question, 44 questions in. That's number one, which is kind of head scratching, to be honest with you. And number two was when Gary Bettman was asked about, as much as Kyle Beach, you have said that, him and his family will have whatever resources they need to try and, work and resolve and heal themselves. Gary Bettman was asked about, what about the 16-year-old boy in Michigan that got molested? Is he going to have the same resources? And it's a pretty simple goddamn answer, man. Yes, he will. Yes, he will.
Batman said he's going to need to get the facts or something. I'm
What do you mean get the facts? The
paraphrasing.
guy was.
I know. Craig, I know. And that's the problem with Gary Bettman.
Jail.
Whether it's the CTE or like concussions and CTE aren't related, whether or anything else, it's like, man, like he'll just sit there and take punch after punch because he does not care. He does not. You have to have no soul to be Gary Bettman. No soul. Period. That's my thought.
Great take, Riv. Great take. And PD, great takes. Seriously.
Pittsburgh. Bill Guerin, Mario Lemieux, this whole story. I mean, are we going to have a repeat here? I mean, it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
I mean, whether we just, we can't keep covering shit up that's going to affect people's lives forever. You got to nip it in the bud, man. This is just not right.
Sun's coming up there. And, I appreciate you, riding through a difficult conversation, a conversation I didn't expect myself to have and bring out my own personal experiences, but
and
obviously that speaks
but
to me because I was
hey, but by
comfortable
the
enough to
way,
do that. What's that?
I love that you brought that up. That is such a, I mean, it's such an important thing to let people know. Just, in any situation, like the football players that are coming out because they're gay, right? It sends such a message to younger people, to younger kids, that says, hey, but I shouldn't be embarrassed about this, because look at my heroes, or people that are big, strong, strapping, athletes have gone through the same thing, are going through the same thing, and it's okay. And if the more we can tell people it's okay, and you saying that, Petey, is an amazing thing. I think that's fantastic. We're not judging you.
I
Don't judge you.
appreciate
Not at all. But
Well,
it's so important for people to say something, because it empowers other people. And if other people can get empowered, there's going to be less suicides. There's going to be less mental health. There's going to be less hatred. There's going to be less hatred. And I think that's really important moving forward. Like I said, especially in our world today, because we have so many problems with people in terms of their attitudes, the things that they say, the evilness that is going on, regardless whether it's whether it's at home or in our country or outside our country. So I think what you said empowers people to come out and make themselves stronger. So good for you, man. I love that.
Unfortunately too, for me, unfortunately, it makes me have a more cynical approach. And, I mean,
It's okay.
I don't know.
That's okay.
I can't apologize for that. That's just who I am. I'll never change that. Right.
By the way, nobody's going to get mad at you for that, because right, Rev? Nobody's going to get mad at you for that.
No question. I mean,
that's right.
Well, I appreciate you saying that.
It's a take that you can have too, and not many people can relate.
Yeah.
So
I can't say anything.
I respect you. Bringing out something like that. That's obviously very tough to talk about.
Well, you guys are the best.
It makes me love you. It makes me love you even more, Petey.
Yeah, well, I would take that. I would take that big 220-pound bear hug from you too right now, down by the ocean too. Absolutely. Man. We could do like a Rocky and Apollo thing where we kind of jump in the water and give each other a hug after I beat you in a race.
Hold hands at the corner. Oh,
JR, thank you, man. That was therapeutic. Honest and a heavy conversation, and we appreciate that out of you.
It is. So, and listen, it's great. What a great, informative, and hopefully educational show this was today.
All right.
Again, we'll find out more, but let's all be better people. Let's all be better people. Okay.
Well said. River, you were fantastic today, buddy. Thanks.
Riv, awesome. Riv, awesome. By the way, great research, Riv. I love the research, man. You were on it with your facts today. Sick facts, Riv.
The guy's a sponge. I've learned this about Craig, and as he sits back there,
45 questions in, you finally get. I'm like, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's way, Riv. You're on it, man.
Oh, listen,
fantastic.
44th question that was asked.
Fantastic 44th. Stuff, Riv. Way to be on the ball, Riv. Way to be on the ball, buddy. Way to go.
Alrighty.
Love you guys.
No, we love you too, man. Awesome as always. See you, JR. That's a wrap on another episode of After the Whistle. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, After the Whistle, and at Craig Rivet 52, at the Instigator 76. And you can find us, as you already know, on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube, and anywhere else where you can get your podcasts. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to spread the word.